Italian military vehicles from World War II are a unique and often underappreciated subject in scale modeling. In this video, we've compiled a top 10 list of the most notable armored vehicles, including tanks, self-propelled guns, and wheeled armored cars, all available in 1/35th scale. Which ones deserve a place in your collection? Let's find out. Before we begin, I'd like to remind you that I use AI for voiceover since I'm not yet fluent in English. However, everything else, video topics, research, and editing, I do myself. So I'd really appreciate your support for the channel, your subscription, and your likes. And now, let's get started. Italian military vehicles from World War II are not as well known or popular as their Soviet, German, British, or American counterparts. However, their history is quite fascinating, and for us modelers, that makes them even more interesting. After all, it's always exciting to build an unusual and unique model that stands out and catches people's attention. Today's video is more of a selection than a strict ranking. It would be difficult to place these vehicles in a definitive order. So instead, let's take a look at some of the most interesting Italian armored vehicle models available in 1/35th scale. Autoblinda AB43 was an Italian armored car introduced in 1943 as an improved version of the earlier AB40 and AB41 models. Unlike its predecessors, the AB43 was armed with a more powerful 47mm cannon, making it more effective against light armored vehicles and infantry. This vehicle was originally designed for reconnaissance and escort missions, but due to the complex situation in Italy in 1943, it ended up in the hands of multiple factions. After Italy's surrender, a significant number of AB43s were used by the German Wehrmacht, which even continued their production. The vehicle saw action mainly in the Balkans and Italy, where its mobility and speed made it ideal for patrol and scouting operations. Despite its late introduction and limited production numbers, the AB43 remained in service after the war, used by the Italian police and military for some time. If you're looking for a unique armored vehicle to add to your collection, the AB43 is a great choice. In 1/35th scale, it is available from Italeri and Tamiya. However, the Tamiya version is essentially a reboxing of the Italeri kit with minor refinements. The kit features good detailing, easy assembly, and multiple marking options to customize your build. For those interested in different scales, Italeri also offers the AB43 in 1/48th and 1/72nd, making it available for both large dioramas and compact collections. The AB43 may not be the most famous combat vehicle of World War II, but it certainly stands out among the usual tanks and self-propelled guns. A perfect choice for those who love building something out of the ordinary. The Semovente M42 was an Italian self-propelled gun developed in 1942, based on the chassis of the M1441 light tank. Unlike traditional tanks, self-propelled guns like the M42 were designed to provide infantry support, engage enemy armor, and destroy fortifications. Armed with a 75mm cannon, the M42 was effective against enemy infantry and light armored vehicles. Due to limited resources and production difficulties, the M42 was not mass-produced, but it did see action in key battles in North Africa and Italy. While it wasn't the most powerful vehicle on the battlefield, its mobility and ease of operation made it a useful tool in various combat situations. The M42 is also notable as one of Italy's early attempts at self-propelled artillery, and although its production was limited, it played an important role in the final years of the war. The Semovente M42 is available from both Italeri and Tamiya, and these kits offer a solid choice for modelers. The assembly is relatively straightforward, but the models are well detailed and will still provide a satisfying build. What makes these kits interesting is that you can choose to assemble the vehicle with an open or closed fighting compartment, adding some variety to your build. Both Tamiya and Italeri kits come with everything you need to create this Italian self-propelled gun, from the hull details to the 75mm cannon. If you're into Italian vehicles and want to add something unique to your collection, this model is a great pick. Plus, it's a nice change from the usual tanks and self-propelled guns. The Fiat 508. Coloniale was a light truck developed in the 1930s for the Italian Army, specifically designed for operations in Africa. This truck became an important part of Italy's military during World War II, known for its versatility in a wide range of roles, from transporting troops and supplies to being used as an artillery tractor. The Fiat 508 Coloniale gained particular fame for its involvement in the North African campaign. The Italian army used it for transporting troops and supplies through the harsh, unforgiving terrain of the desert. It had good off-road capability, making it well-suited for the challenges of the African theater. Though it wasn't heavily armored, the Fiat 508 was quite maneuverable and essential for supporting frontline units in North Africa, where mobility was critical. You can find the Fiat 508 Coloniale model from Italeri, Tamiya, and Ace. The Italeri and Tamiya versions are available in 1/35 scale, which is great for modelers who enjoy working with larger kits. Both are well detailed, and Italeri's kit includes figures for creating dynamic scenes or dioramas. For those who prefer something more compact, Ace offers the Fiat 508 in 1/72 scale, which is perfect for larger scale battles or when you want to add several vehicles to your collection. Even though it's smaller, the Ace kit maintains good detail and quality. The Fiat 508 Coloniale isn't just another truck. It's a unique piece of history from the North African campaign. Adding this model to your collection will definitely bring an interesting and rare aspect to your World War II vehicles. The Autocannone 3-row with 90/53 was one of the most powerful and unique Italian vehicles of World War II. It was essentially a Fiat 3-row heavy truck fitted with a 90mm Cannonade 90/53 anti-aircraft gun. Interestingly, this weapon was originally designed for air defense, but turned out to be extremely effective against armored targets, much like the famous German 88mm Flak 36. Production of these vehicles started in 1941, and they were used as improvised tank destroyers. They saw action in North Africa and the Eastern Front, where they successfully engaged heavily armored Soviet and British tanks. However, due to their limited numbers and lack of protection, these vehicles were vulnerable in combat. Despite these drawbacks, the Autocannone 3-row showcased the ingenuity of Italian engineers, who sought to enhance their army's anti-tank capabilities despite limited resources. In 1/35 scale, the Autocannone 3-row with 90/53 is available from IBG models. This kit is a must-have for fans of rare military vehicles. Why is this model interesting? Highly detailed kit, featuring both the truck and its powerful 90mm gun. Can be built in combat or transport configuration. Open crew compartment offers lots of customization potential. Add figures, ammo, or even build a battlefield diorama. For those looking to expand their collection with a rare and historically significant Italian vehicle, this kit is an excellent choice. While it might not be as well known as the Panzer IV or Sherman, its unique design and role in the war make it a truly standout model. The Ansaldo and MORAS are some of the most obscure Italian-tracked vehicles from 1935. Designed as light engineering and reconnaissance platforms, these vehicles were small, lightly armored, and highly experimental. Developed by Ansaldo, which was known for producing small tanks like the L333 and L335, the MIAS and MORAS were even more compact. The MIS was intended to carry and deploy explosives, making it a kind of remote-controlled demolition vehicle. The MORAS was designed for reconnaissance and small cargo transport. Despite the unique concept, these vehicles never saw widespread use. Their practicality was questionable, and the Italian army ultimately focused on more traditional light tanks and armored cars. In 1/35th scale, the Ansaldo MORAS 1935 is available as a resin kit from Model 3D International. What makes this kit interesting? Extremely rare subject, perfect for collectors of unusual vehicles. Features a unique, compact design that stands out from standard tank models. Great for standalone display or as part of a larger diorama with Italian armored units. Since it's a resin kit, building it requires some experience and patience. But the result is a one-of-a-kind addition to any model collection. If you're looking for a truly rare and fascinating Italian white tune vehicle, this kit is a must-have. The Carro Veloce CV333, better known as the L333, was one of the most widely used Italian armored vehicles during World War II. It was based on the British Carden Loyd Tankette and was designed for reconnaissance, infantry support, and counterinsurgency missions. The early versions were armed with a single 6.5mm machine gun, later upgraded to twin 8mm Breda 38s for increased firepower. While the L333 was cheap and mass-produced, it had significant drawbacks. Thin armor, up to 14mm, only effective against small arms. No turret, limiting its ability to engage enemies. Weak engine, 43 horsepower, providing mobility but struggling in rough terrain. Despite its weaknesses, the L3-33 saw action in Ethiopia, the Spanish Civil War, and later in North Africa, the Balkans, and the Eastern Front during World War II. Several modifications were made, including flamethrower versions, L3LEF, for urban and close-quarters combat, command variants with additional communication equipment, experimental versions with a 20mm cannon for better anti-armor capabilities. In 1/35th scale, the Carro CV333 is available from Bronco models. Why is this kit interesting? Great detailing, including hull and suspension parts. Can be built in different configurations, standard or flamethrower version. Features detailed machine guns and interior elements. This tankette is a fantastic addition for anyone looking to build unique and historically significant Italian armor. Despite its small size, it tells a big story, and assembling it will be an engaging challenge even for experienced modelers. The Carro Armato M1441 was an Italian medium tank, developed in 1941 as an improved version of the M1340. While it looked nearly identical to its predecessor, it featured a stronger Fiat SPA 15TB engine, 145 horsepower, which was slightly better suited for the harsh desert conditions of North Africa. The armor was slightly reinforced, and the crew's working conditions were marginally improved. The M1441 saw extensive action in North Africa, where it served with the Italian Army and Rommel's Africa Corps. However, despite the upgrades, this tank was already outdated by 1942. Its thin armor and underpowered engine made it an easy target for Allied anti-tank weapons. After Italy's surrender in 1943, many surviving M1441s were captured by German forces. The Germans used them mainly for rear-line duties and anti-partisan operations, while others were handed over to Croatian forces and Italian fascist units still loyal to Germany. Interestingly, some M1441s were even used by Yugoslav and Italian partisans, adding to their unique history. Strengths and weaknesses of the M14. 41 checkmark. Decent 47mm gun, effective against light and some early medium tanks. Good desert mobility, performed well in sandy terrain. Historical significance. One of the most recognizable Italian tanks of World War II. Thin armor, maximum 42 millimeters, vulnerable to most Allied anti-tank weapons by 1942. Weak 145 horsepower engine led to slow speeds and frequent overheating. Reliability issues, mechanical failures were common. Highly flammable. Like many Italian tanks, it easily caught fire when hit. Overall, the M1441 was an outdated tank that remained in service simply due to the lack of better alternatives. Despite its flaws, it remains an icon of Italy's World War II armored forces, representing a time when Italian engineers were struggling to keep up with the evolving demands of modern warfare. In 1/35th scale, the Carro Armato M1441 is available from Italeri. Italeri's kit offers decent detailing, multiple build options, and historical decal choices. However, some parts, especially the suspension, are a bit simplified. This tank is a great choice for North African dioramas, whether in desert camouflage or as a captured vehicle in German or partisan service. With added weathering and detailing, it can become a standout model in any collection. The Fiat 500 Topolino was one of the most iconic Italian cars of the 1930s to 1950s. Produced from 1936 to 1955, this tiny vehicle became one of the most popular cars in Europe both before and after World War II. The name Topolino means little mouse in Italian, which perfectly suited this compact and economical car. Despite its small size, it was practical, reliable, and widely used. During World War II, the Italian Army utilized the Fiat 500 for communications, staff transport, and reconnaissance. Of course, it lacked armor and off-road capabilities, but in the face of shortages, even such small cars found their way onto the battlefield. After the war, the Topolino became a symbol of affordability and mobility. Its charming design and efficiency made it a favorite among civilians, and it played a major role in Italy's post-war recovery. In 1/35th scale, the Fiat 500 Topolino is available from Bronco models. Bronco's kit features excellent detail, with multiple configuration options. The company also offers civilian versions, making it a great choice for non-military dioramas. This little car is a fantastic addition to World War II dioramas, especially in urban or rear-line settings. Whether in military service or as a post-war civilian vehicle, it adds a unique and charming element to any model collection. The AS42 Sahariana was a long-range reconnaissance and raiding vehicle developed in 1942 specifically for operations in the North African desert. After encountering the British Long-Range Desert Group, LRDG, Italian forces realized they needed a fast, highly mobile, and well-armed vehicle to conduct deep raids behind enemy lines. The result was the AS42 Sahariana, a lightly armored but highly versatile vehicle. The Sahariana could be equipped with various weapons, including a 47mm Breda 47-32 anti-tank gun, a 20mm Breda 2065 autocannon, a Solothurn S 18 1020mm anti-tank rifle, or even a 37mm anti-tank gun. In addition, it carried extra fuel and water tanks, allowing it to travel long distances across the desert without resupply. After the Axis defeat in North Africa, the AS-42 continued to serve in Italy and the Balkans, mostly in anti-partisan operations. Some were even captured and used by German forces until the end of the war. In 1/35th scale, AS-42 Sahariana is available from Italeri. Italeri's kit offers good detailing and multiple weapon options. It allows for both North African desert variants and later war European settings. The unique shape and history of the vehicle make it a standout choice for dioramas. Whether in a desert camouflage scheme with extra fuel tanks or a partisan hunting role in Europe, the AS-42 Sahariana is a fascinating model with tons of character. By the late 1930s, it became clear that Italy's existing tank fleet was outdated. In response, the military began developing a more powerful combat vehicle that could counter modern enemy tanks. The result was the P40, Pesante 40, Heavy 1940, designed to compete with the Panzer IV and T-34. On paper, the P40 seemed promising. 50 mm frontal armor, adequate for 1940, but weak by 1943. 75 mm Cannonade 75-34 gun, comparable to the German KWK-40. A 330 horsepower diesel engine, theoretically offering decent mobility. However, reality was far less favorable. Due to industrial shortages and constant delays, production did not begin until 1943. By then, Italy had already surrendered, and the Germans took control of production. At that point, 50 mm armor was no longer enough, and many tanks never received engines. Instead, they were used as static defensive positions. Still, a few 40 pesos did see combat under German and Italian Social Republic forces. After the war, the P40 quickly faded into obscurity, but it remains a noteworthy attempt by Italy to produce a true heavy tank. In 1/35th scale, the Carro Armato P40 is available from Italeri and Tamiya. Italeri offers a solid kit, though with simplified suspension details. Tamiya's version is based on Italeri's mold, but includes some refinements and better parts quality. This model is perfect for both historical accuracy and creative diorama settings, whether in Italian or German service. The Carro Armato P40 is a rare but fascinating tank, and a must-have for fans of Italian armor. That concludes our review of Italian armored vehicle models. Let me know in the comments what you think about these kits, which ones you like the most, and which ones you'd love to build. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. It really helps. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.